Hello and welcome to another session by Chevening Brazil. I'm Chris Lima, and I'm very, very proud to bring you two amazing guests today to talk a little bit more about what it's like to study in the UK, focusing on the University of Bristol. So this is our very first session in English. All our other lives this year have been in Portuguese, so we hope to be encouraging you to learn English, to carry on studying English, to practice your English, and hopefully you can use this video, this recording. This will be recorded, so you can use it in the future to do just that. And also to inform you, to let you know a little bit more about what it's like to study in the UK, what living and studying in Bristol specifically is like, and what you need to do to put in a strong application for the University of Bristol, and also, finally, to learn a little bit more about the application process for achieving the scholarship. So today we'll be focusing on postgraduate courses at the University of Bristol. That's the focus of the Chevening Scholarship Program. It's an exclusive scholarship for postgraduate course master's degrees in the UK. So without further ado, let me introduce you to André Headland. He studied in Bristol in 2018. Is that right, André?
That's right. It's been a long time. Yes, but that's exactly right.
So what can you tell us about your experience of Bristol? From the moment that you got there, what was that first impression like? But we also want to hear about what it was like to find out about the university and how you knew it was the right place for you and how you came across the course that you chose to study.
So let me start there. And thank you so much, Chris and David, for being here with me, for inviting me to talk about my alma mater, my wonderful University of Bristol. I miss Bristol every day. I had such an amazing, lovely time at the University of Bristol, met wonderful friends that I keep in touch with even today. And for me, it was one of those key moments in life that actually brought a lot of enlightenment, a lot of insights, and helped me decide what I wanted to do with the rest of my life as a professional. And the first week at the University of Bristol was amazing, really. I had never experienced such a diverse, wonderfully welcoming context in my life, because everyone coming from different parts of the world, they felt like at home because they had someone to talk to, they had people to share experiences with. And for me, especially when I think about finding the right program, it was not a very difficult task, to be honest, because I remember in 2017, I had attended a session at an English language teaching conference about scholarships, opportunities abroad. And a friend of mine, Priscilla Bordon, who was a Chevening scholar that year, she was talking about her experience. I mean, she was about to leave, for the UK to start studying at the University of Southampton. And I had never heard of Chevening before. And then when she told me about that, I said, well, maybe I should check it out. Maybe I should try. And it was the same year that I got into mind-brain education, a new science, the science of learning, a science that studies how the brain and the mind can learn. So it's evidence-based teaching and learning. I became a member of a special interest group for the BRAS TESOL, the Teaching English for Speakers of Other Languages, a committee here in Brazil. And then when the time came for me to find the right program, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a program that helped me understand better how we can teach our students so that they can learn more effectively based on evidence. And I found some interesting programs that related to neuroscience, psychology, and education. But what really made me choose Bristol was first the city. I think the city was amazing. When I started, doing my research, and I wanted to know more about the city, about who had lived in the city. I know that Winston Churchill was the president of Bristol at one point, and so there's so much history in the city. And the second thing that made me choose the program was that it was the only one that offered a unit called Brain, Mind, and Education. And I was the member of Mind, Brain, Education here in Brazil. So for whatever reason, the British people decided to change the order of the letters in the acronym. So it's BME, not MBE, but still it's the same thing. And then when I saw who was teaching that unit, Paul Howard-Jones, my wonderful professor, who's a big reference in neuroeducation, that was it for me. Then it was obvious that I had to go to Bristol. And the process was interesting because I had to, first, I remember having to think of reasons why I thought this was going to help me further my education and career and my contributions, the legacy that I was going to leave behind once I came back to Brazil. And I think I've been doing that since I came back in 2019, really. I've been helping teachers around Brazil and the world to understand how students can learn more effectively. And that's thanks to Bristol. And I just wish I could go back and experience a little bit more, because it's such a wonderful period in my life that honestly, every time I think about it, I remember the wonderful things that happened to me. And I think going back to the process, really, what really mattered was that I had a certain profile and background. I had been doing a lot of volunteering at the time. I was working with some publishers here in Brazil, as an English teacher. I had also started focusing much more on this career that I wanted to have. And then it was really about the supporting documents, finding the references to help me, get the approval, the application. Also, getting all of the documents translated officially, my transcripts. So that part was easy. And then the personal statement, really. Understanding what that would mean to me in my life when I came back. And it's funny because it's been 5 years since I came back. And when I look at that personal statement, I think all of the things that I mentioned in it came true in a way, or something else better came true. I'm actually speaking from my new office. So I'm a consultant now. I've designed a framework based on my dissertation to help schools understand how to teach better, to help their students learn better. I've been working with a lot of institutions, including the British Council as a partner, as an e-moderator. So I've been training teachers around the world. And I think none of those things would have happened if it were not for Bristol. So I will always cherish the wonderful year I spent there, including the weather, which was not too bad. Most people think it is, but it was actually great. Perfect weather for studying, as I was telling David just a moment ago. And I would really love to go back. I think the last time I went back to Bristol, unfortunately, was just before the pandemic hit the world. So it was a couple of months before COVID, came, and it was for my graduation. So it was in February 2020. And I think that was probably one of the most special moments in my life, because I remember when they called my name, I was going to be greeted by Sir Paul Nurse, a Nobel Prize winner who happened to be there, clasping my hands and giving me my certificate. And it was such a surreal moment in my life that I have the video, and every time I watch that video, it just feels so incredibly distant. How on earth did I get to do all of those amazing, wonderful things? And it's so unreal even today. And that's exactly the experience I would love other people to have as well. So that's why I am here to tell you, whoever is listening to us, if you think you cannot do it, if you think you have absolutely no chance, apply either way, because that's exactly what happened to me. And you never know. And you might get a scholarship, you might go to Bristol, you might get your certificate, and then your life will change for real and forever after that. So I highly encourage people to apply.
That's great, Andrea. Thank you so much. And I'm sure Bristol would love to have you back, maybe as a guest speaker or something. It's such a great story that you've just told us, and great advice as well for people. I think what I could listen from your sort of testimony, I guess, from the selection process, when you sat down to write and really think about what it was that you wanted to achieve and the things that you wanted to put into motion in the world, you sort of committed to them. So you both reflected and like, this is what really matters to me. And then now I know this is what I want. I'm going to, go after it. So I think that's a really powerful message to share with people. Once you allow yourself to sit down and think about what it is that you really, really care about, then you can commit to it. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Can I just ask you one final question before we move on to finding out more about the university?
Yes, by all means, please. Yeah.
How long did it take you, do you think, maybe, an estimate, from the moment that you decided to like, oh, this is something for me, to actually applying and then going?
I think the whole process took around a year, because the moment I realized that Chevening existed, because I didn't know, to be very honest, was September the 7th, 2017, because it was a holiday in Brazil, and I was attending the conference in Rio, and that's when I saw Priscila Bordon talking about the scholarship. And then I tried to find out more and more about it, and then the application process started. So, and the funny thing is that I was on the waiting list. I got an email from Chevening telling me that I was a reserve. So, and again, and I didn't know exactly what that meant. And then it was July the 30th, I think, when I got that final email telling me that I had been accepted, that I was officially going. So it was from September the 7th to July the 30th the next year. And July was a terrible month because I was constantly checking my email like crazy, trying to get a positive answer. But again, it was worth it. Yeah.
Thank you. So, in terms of a timeline, I think another question. So, I think this is a good moment for us to just to take stock of the, objectives of the session today, which is to demystify a little bit the whole process for participating in Chevening and applying for university. So, they actually, as you heard from Andrea's account, they take place separately. So each candidate will have to apply directly to up to 3 universities and then apply for Chevening separately. So there's separate applications. So in terms of that sort of the timetable, were you applying for the universities at the same time as Chevening? Did you order them more strategically? Did you apply for Chevening first? Did you apply for universities later? Because we're now coming to the end of the application process for Chevening. It closes on the 5th of November 2024. So for anyone watching, there's still time to put your application in, but you do have to tell us what 3 universities you're applying for.
Yeah. Well, in my case, it was basically Chevening first, and then the universities shortly after. As soon as I found out that I had to apply for 3 different universities, I think the key was to find the right program, and I did find very interesting programs. One from UCL, Birkbeck, Neuroscience and Learning, or Neuroscience Applied to Education, or something like that. And then this one, Bristol, Psychology of Education, that had a different component. I think it was not so much about neuroscience only, but also psychology. I was very interested. And that all happened at around this time, So it was October, because I had been to that session in September. So October was the month that I started really going after everything. And it was very important for me to have that, to know what was expected, and know how to apply, to actually send my personal statements, to get a letter of acceptance, from the universities, and to understand how the process went. And then the beginning of 2018, it was really about getting ready to, move further. And then the interview at the British Embassy and all of those things happened. And finally, after that was done, so the end of the first semester was really about just waiting, to get an email telling me that I was good to go or not. So basically, that's how it went.
It's a very nerve-wracking experience,
yes.
but it's very
yes.
worthwhile one. So thank you for that. I'll just remind everyone who's watching, feel free to ask us any questions you can ask Andre, questions you can ask David, questions you can ask myself, questions. So let's move on now to David's presentation, talking to us, telling us a little bit about the courses on offer at Bristol and a little bit about the selection process. Over to you, David.
Thanks, Christiane, and thanks very much, Andre. Wow, I've got some act to follow. I'm going to do my best. I've got a slideshow to share with everyone, so hopefully give some visuals rather, to what Andre was already talking about. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes, it's loading.
Is that good?
You can see
okay,
it.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you again to Andre and to Chris for this opportunity to talk about the University of Bristol. So I'm going to try and follow Andre's very, very engaging and inspiring testimony that he gave us just now. So yeah, here's a nice photo. So I've got some pictures that show of Bristol. As Andre said, the weather is ideal for learning. As you can see in our photographs, the sky is very blue. It's not always like that, however, as Andre will confirm. So where is Bristol? So obviously we're in England. We're actually in the southwest of England. There's a photo of the lovely city by night. And on the next screen, we'll see there we are exactly where Bristol is. We're about 1 hour and 40 minutes from London. I was very taken by Andre's confirming how much he loved being in the city of Bristol. That's very, very common, that students enjoy both being at a top university like Bristol, but also the quality of life that they have in the city of Bristol is really outstanding. And that sense of community that Andre referred to, I think that's something that makes Bristol as a destination very, very attractive for students. As he mentioned, we have students from all around the world studying in Bristol. Here's some lovely, nice photographs in the background. Very, very colourful city. So again, I often refer to Bristol as a kind of Latin city in the UK. There's always things going on in the street. We're a city with soul, with a real vibe. The city itself is home to over 187 different nationalities. We're a very
It's just the slides aren't moving. So if you click on the slides on the side, yeah, it's not presenting. So we can see the slideshow. So if you just click down the slides where they're listed, then we can
I put it on full screen. Hang on.
Yes, I know. Sometimes it does this. It's absolutely fine. If you just click on whichever slide you were on. Yeah, there you go. Now it's moving. If we do it that way, then it's great. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Chris. So yes, as I was saying, Bristol is a very colourful city with a population that's very international, as well as the university's very international population. A very green city. And Bristol, the university, is the first university to declare a climate emergency. I know that's something that touches very close to things to life in Brazil, particularly with the Amazonas and all that has been going on there, and the opportunities to improve the way we look after our climate. So that's something that a lot of academics across different disciplines at the university work on, and with the city of Bristol. We're also a very creative city. So when I come to Brazil and I ask people, have they heard of Banksy? I go to a lot of schools and chat with students. A lot of people have. So Banksy is a famous muralist, and he comes from Bristol. I'm sure Andre saw some of his work around the city. You can do a Banksy tour of Bristol. So that just gives you an idea. Very colourful, very, very creative kind of city. And has been voted many accolades for the city. The happiest city is the most recent one in 2024. Also voted the kindest city, the friendliest city, and the best city to live in the UK. So I think when you're considering universities, which I think Andre explained very well in his talk there, think about the kind of experience you're going to have, as well as in the city or in the location, as well as the university. I think that's a very good point to take into consideration. Let's see what goes on to the next one. So the city is so important to us because the university is actually based right in the heart of the city. So you really do live the city life and the campus life, and those two things kind of fuse together. I already mentioned how the university and the city work together very closely on green initiatives, also on technological initiatives. There's a lot going on in the city to become a smart city. We're looking at creating a real digital hub in Bristol. It's very easy to walk around campus and walk around the city. Andre, before we came on air, was mentioning he used to walk 30-40 minutes a day around the city. So it is walkable and very friendly, so you don't need to use transport. We have some amazing architecture in the city. In the top left-hand corner of the slide there, you can see our Clifton Suspension Bridge, which is an amazing piece of Victorian civil engineering. It's the sort of emblem of the city. But all around the city, there's amazing buildings, different styles of architecture. So it's a very pretty city to walk around and to get to know. And in the university itself, we have amazing facilities across all our faculties. So you're really coming to a place that's right at the forefront of many areas of study, both technological and otherwise. So for the student experience, well, Andre has already given us a strong idea of this. So this is one of our students from Colombia. I actually also have a slide from a fantastic student who came to us from Brazil in 2022. She confirms what a great experience also it was, as Andre did earlier on in our session today. So here's some information about Bristol, the university, and why I'm sure you are already considering the university as an opportunity for you for your future studies. So these are general numbers, but 54th currently ranked in the world and the QS World University Rankings, 9th in the UK. We have 26 subjects in the world top 100, and our graduates are ranked the 5th most employable by top employers in the UK. So lots of very strong academically. We have some of the best academics from around the world, and they are very international. Our academics are international as well as our student body. Bristol attracts those people. Andre was saying that he'd love to go back. Well, yeah, a lot of people do go back and stay. We have a number of Brazilian academics working in Bristol, and they're doing fantastic work together with other colleagues from all around the world. Our subject range is very, very broad as well. So we are a Russell Group university. We are what is called a comprehensive university. We're in the line of Oxford, Cambridge, UCL, and other famous names, where we offer programs from the arts right across the life sciences. So we've got the engineering, the science, social sciences, and law and health sciences in between. So a very, very broad offer. And I was very taken by what Andre said in terms of him selecting the master's course that he chose. He really researched the information very, very carefully. If I move on to the next slide, we can see that within each faculty, we have these different departments. So these are only the names of the departments. We actually have over 200 master's programs at Bristol. And so it is about researching and, as Andre explained very well, about understanding your future plans. When you write a personal statement for a master's, it's about what you want to achieve, what your goals are, what your objectives are for the future. And then it's about finding the right master's program that fits, that will help you achieve those goals and objectives. And on all the courses we have within the university, and Andre clearly did this, each master's degree has a dedicated web page. So you can really dig down and find out detailed information about the course. And within that web page, there's a section called Course Structure, which describes the course in a reasonable amount of detail. But then we also have within that section a link to a course catalog, which allows you to see all the individual modules that are available on the program that you're interested in, and even click on the name of that module and find the details of what you will learn on that course. So clearly Andre did that because he found the brain. It's like I made a note of the name of the unit, Brain, Mind and Education.
Yes.
Got it. Was the module that really swung Bristol for him. So do the same process as Andre explained. Do dig down and understand exactly what courses offer, so that you can make sure that the degree you're applying for is the right degree for you. That's the most important part of the process, I would say. Here's Gabriella now. I added her in further down. So this is a student who, as I mentioned, graduated in 2022 she's from northern Brazil. She gave us a wonderful testimony. Again, this is the kind of testimony that we really love to have, as well as Andre's. She's one of the first student in her family to go to do a master's, and she did a master's not just anywhere. She did it a long way from Brazil in the United Kingdom at the University of Bristol. And she tells us here how her nan was so proud of her that she made a choice to come to a great university like Bristol. And she now wants to continue her studies and do a PhD with us. So yeah, Andre, you're not the only one who wants to come back. So yeah, we'll welcome you with open arms. We'll just go to a bit more detail now on the entry process. So Andre and Chris have already explained a little bit, but it's a very straightforward admissions process for postgraduate studies in Bristol. I've just returned from a postgraduate fair in Santiago, Chile, and people were asking me there, how do I apply? What do I need to apply? Well, on every single web page for the course, as I just mentioned, there is actually a little button at the top of that page that says apply now, and you click on that button and it takes you to the online application process, where you have to do things as well as fill in all the information about your personal details. You have to upload your transcripts, as Andre mentioned. We need them both, your originals in Portuguese, and if they are in Portuguese, we need a translation into English, just from a regular translator. It doesn't need to be apostillado or anything like that. So very, very straightforward. Your transcripts and your degree certificate, if you have it. Chris mentioned at the beginning, this is the first session that we're doing in English this year. English is obviously key. So what we're looking for in Bristol, and it will be true of any British universities working with Chevening, we want strong academics and we want equally strong English language skills. So you're looking at C1 level of English, 6.5 in IELTS or 85 in TOEFL are typical minimum scores. Some courses have higher entry requirements than that. For each degree, we specify exactly the level of English or the score on the exam you need to attain to be admitted to the university. Let me clarify that having the English language certificate at the level specified here is not an application requirement, neither for the university, nor, I think I'm right in saying, for Chevening. We do accept applications from students who have yet to achieve the IELTS or TOEFL score required. We also accept Pearson PTE these days in Bristol. So you can apply without having that certificate to hand, and you can receive what we call a conditional offer, which will specify the level of English you need to attain to take your place at the university. And if you need support on that, if you're slightly short of the stated requirement, you can enroll in one of our pre-sessional courses of English, which we offer both online and in person. So how to apply? As I said, it's very, very straightforward. You click on a button on the web page of the degree that you're interested in, and that takes you through the different sections, and you're uploading your transcripts and your certificates with their translations, the personal statement, which Andre described perfectly. It should be focused on what you're planning to achieve, what your goals and objectives are, and how this course that you're applying for is going to help you achieve those goals. We also need just one reference letter these days. It may have been more back when Andre was applying, but yeah, just one reference letter is required that you can also upload onto the application. If it's not in English, again, we would need a translation of that document before you upload to the application portal. Most applications are free. Some courses in business and economics require a very small application fee of £60. That's really just because of the sheer volume of applications. We want to make sure that those applying are real serious students. And decisions are made typically within 6 weeks. If you apply early in the process, for instance, in these dates that we're talking about now in October, it can be much quicker to get an offer from the university. Just to clarify that a master's degree in the UK and in Bristol in particular is a 1-year or 12-month degree program. The academic year runs from September to September in the case of master's students. So you study a taught program during 2 semesters from September to January, and then from the beginning of February or the end of January through to June. And then to make your master's complete, you're going to produce your research thesis between June and September. That's a 15,000 word dissertation. Some courses offer the opportunities to do a project with employers. We have very close relations in Bristol across a range of our programs with employers locally in the city and the local area. Of course, funding is important. So this is some general information. We work very closely with funders, as of course we do with Chevening here. Outside of the Chevening Scholarship for Brazilian students, we also have our Think Big Scholarship offer from the university, which is a very generous offer as well. We have scholarships between £6,500 and £26,000. So that can be close to 100% scholarship. We also support students with a £3,000 bursary if they're successful with that scholarship. And students from there, a bit like Chevening, take part in our Think Big development program, which is a career development program that runs alongside your academic program. So anybody with a Chevening or Think Big or any other scholarship award is really treated as a VIP in the university. We really welcome all those students who not only gain a place at the university, but are also of the level to achieve and win a scholarship like Chevening. Just some final details here. So we have a big global network of alumni right across the world, over 200,000 graduates across 190 countries, and increasingly students from Brazil and other parts of this region in Latin America. Just summarize what really I've been saying, I suppose, during the presentation. Bristol, the city, offers you a great quality of life. Our degrees are internationally recognized. We are a top university in the UK and worldwide. Great opportunities for networking across the world. Our Think Big scholarships are another opportunity for you to look for a scholarship, as well as Chevening. And I mentioned our close ties with industry, and we have a big innovation center and the world's #1 university-based business incubator called Set Squared. So lots of opportunities beyond your degree to develop your future through your association with the University of Bristol. And there's just some finer details. There's a web page specifically for Brazil, where you can find out more information specific to Brazil and Brazilian students. We have our America's Office email, and that's my own email, which you are very welcome to use and make contact with me. It'd be a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you so much. I hope that was a decent summary for everybody.
That was great, David. Thank you so much. Such a great place and such a big, powerful institution. So we do have a question in the chat. It's about reference letters. So let's answer that one. And I've got a few things to say about that as well, because it's also for Chevening. It's a requirement for both universities and Chevening. So can they come from a professional, say a line manager, or do they have to be strictly academic for the University of Bristol?
Yeah.
Application?
On each course it does. When we go to the course pages I mentioned, it does. There's also a section saying application requirements, and there it specifies for each course the documents required. So the basic rule is we do prefer academic reference letters. However, if that's difficult for you and you have a closer relationship, or you've been in work for a number of years, then you can provide a professional reference letter. It might be the case in that case that we would still ask you to get an academic one as well later on. But yes, you can certainly, if it's easier to get a professional reference initially, that can work. It works better for some programs than others, I would say. But yeah, we do tend to look for the academic reference letters.
That's a great point about the length of time that has sort of elapsed since you've graduated from, your undergraduate degree. However, I always like to remind applicants, whether you are just applying directly to the universities or if you're applying for something like Chevening, a scholarship like Chevening, or the Think Big scholarship, where you are required to send additional letters. And sometimes, in the case of Chevening, we do ask for a professional reference and an academic reference. So if it has been a long time since you feel like it's been a long time since you've graduated, rest assured that your lecturers it's expected within their responsibilities to provide reference letters to whoever asks. So we always like to remind applicants that, you should not be deterred. Just get in contact with them. You may need to contact your university to find out how to contact your lecturer, but, they should be able to help you. Yeah. But just make sure to do it early so that, you're not running against time. There's deadlines, they're called that for a reason. So, we just have to be organized, and lots of Chevening scholars emphasize organization and planning as a key element of a successful application. And I'm sure it's the same for the University of Bristol.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's another question about...
Chris, very quickly, sorry. If you're not able to contact the lecturer or the academic yourself and get them to give you a reference letter, you can give us their details, their name and their contact details in the application, and then the university will reach out. But again, sometimes it can be difficult to get the references through. It's the only part of the process that can be a little bit delayed in my experience. I see Andre's nodding there as well, especially if you've been away.
Yes.
For a while. So you can, if you can't get the letter yourself from the academic, do give us their contact information, and our admissions team will reach out to the academic.
That's a great bit of help, isn't it? And one more question: are there psychology degrees at the University of Bristol? Postgraduate degree.
Postgraduate. Yes, indeed, there are. Well, Andre is one example. Andre, did you research more than just the one you chose?
I did. Yeah. Well, I have a great friend who actually took that pathway, psychology, and she's working as a consultant now. I think organizational psychology is what she's doing right now. She's from Germany and she lived in Bath. And yes, wow. you can by all means you can follow that pathway as well.
Yeah, there are a number of as I said, I just came back from Santiago, Chile, and had lots of students asking for psychology there as well. Psychology is one of those disciplines that is very, very broad and can take many forms. So we have different degrees in different areas. So Andre's example of psychology of education is an interesting one that I was showing students in Santiago over the weekend. That degree actually is interesting that it's actually accredited by the British Psychological Society. So it's a professional accreditation as well as an academic program. So that's an interesting element to that. We also have neuroscience in education. That's within the education department itself. And then within psychology, more purely maybe, the very specialist area that we have, and that's where masters in Bristol are very particular. All our masters are highly specialized, focused programs on particular aspects of the discipline. So for example, in psychology, we have applied neuropsychology programs, which again have proven to be very, very popular with students across Latin America over the years. It prepares you, if you're looking to take on clinical neuropsychology duties in your future, the applied neuropsychology program really gives you the solid founding and foundation to go on to a degree or a doctorate or to work in a clinical neuropsychology environment. And then in more purely in our science, in our life sciences department, we have a program called molecular neuroscience. So again, it's going to be where your undergraduate degree, was that more a social science, more focused on psychoanalysis or things like that, or was your degree more a science-focused degree that gives you the background and the preparation to apply for something which is really a strong science-based program like the molecular neuroscience? The applied neuropsychology kind of fits a little bit between the two, although it's also in our sciences faculty. So again, this is where researching the program, as both Andre and myself have mentioned, is really, really important to make sure that the program we offer is what you're looking for and what will help you achieve your goals and objectives, and then B, also whether you have the right background to be applying for that master's program. Some of the more science-focused programs really need strong science background. So check out those things and all the information on the webpage. Andre, I think you were going to add something there.
Yes, I mean, by all means, I think in my case, because I've always considered myself a science nerd and geek, and I wanted to follow a pathway that provided me with the tools to actually, become more aware of the scientific breakthroughs out there. And that's why I chose the MSc. It's a Master of Science. And I saw that somebody's asking about statistics in the comments. And as part of the program, I had a full unit on statistics with Professor William Brown. And it was, it was amazing. To be very honest, it was difficult especially for us, coming from the humanities. I have a bachelor's degree in international relations, and then for me it was quite a challenge. But I ended up doing my dissertation and actually applying very advanced statistical methods, and so I think it did the job because I was able to get a distinction. So I think you can learn quite well how to apply statistics even in a program like mine.
Really great advice there. So check out the Bristol website, bristol.ac.uk, to find out about the course requirements. Each department, each school will have a different set of requirements, right? So it's really important that you are logging on to the website, you are comparing and contrasting the different course options, finding the right one for you, understanding what the academic requirements are, what the English level requirements are, and what the reference letter requirements are, right? So that's really key, really important. In the UK, a lot of the information is made available online. So it's really good practice for you to log on and do that reading, do that exercise. And they make themselves available, right, to answer any questions. So you can get in touch as well with departments asking any additional questions. As for course options, from Chevening scholars, the type of advice that we hear a lot is to look through the course structure and what is being proposed. So for the question about statistics, whether data science or maths, if you can go onto that course webpage and then look at the course outline and understand who the tutors are, who the lecturers are, what kind of research lines they are investigating, that will give you a lot of information to work with and then to make a decision. Okay, so I just wanted to take a few moments just to talk through Chevening. So if you are interested in studying at the University of Bristol, you can do so by your own means. But if you are looking for a scholarship, you might want to apply for Chevening. We have a completely separate application process to universities, right? So you'd have to apply for the University of Bristol and 2 other universities, and you have to rank them, your top 3 universities, and then you are then ready to write your full application for Chevening. So again, we have our applications open until the 5th of November, so a couple of weeks to go still, and that's for September 2025 start, right? And to apply for Chevening, you need to write 4 500-word essays on 4 key criteria. We're looking to understand what your vision of leadership is, how you see yourself as a leader, and how you see the rest, your future ahead of you, your career unfold using your leadership style. So that's leadership and influencing. Then we'd like to hear about how you work with others, how you influence other people, and how you get things done in big groups of people. So that's networking. So we're really keen to understand how you get people together and converge around the topic to make things happen. The third criteria for Chevening that we evaluate is your motivation to study in the UK. So why would you like to study in the UK? Why would you like to study at the University of Bristol and not somewhere else? There are loads of opportunities out there, but why is this the right one for you? And what can this impact? How can it impact your life and your career? Why the UK, culturally, historically, anything that you can bring to that will give us really good insight into your the way that you position yourself in the world. And finally, our last criteria is your career plan. So we want to understand what your next steps are after the master's. And it's really important to remind one of the key things about Chevening in Brazil is to encourage future leaders and specialists to go to the UK to deepen their understanding about their areas of expertise and to bring this back to Brazil to impact our country or the region where you're in or your specific city. So you can be as specific, as granular as you like, as long as you are really clear about the impact that you want to have here. So it's really important also to highlight that we expect everyone, it's a requirement even, that every Brazilian scholar and every Chevening scholar in the world return to their home country for a minimum of 2 years so that you can really make that impact and focus on that. So we're really keen to understand what your vision is and what it is that you want to change or continue changing, continue improving in our country. And I think that's a really quick overview of the Chevening process. So again, we're closing our applications on the 5th of November, and you can apply on our website, chevening.org, where you're also going to find all the information you need to make a strong application. You also need your references. You also need to upload your diplomas, your undergraduate diploma, and you need to have completed your study. So someone asked that question, can I apply even if I haven't finished my degree? You have to have finished. Okay, that's one of the key eligibility criteria. In order to be eligible for Chevening, you need to have completed your studies and upload your diploma accordingly. All right, loads of questions coming up, so I'll just take a moment to read through them. And if you have spotted any, Andrea or David, please feel free to answer.
Yeah, I've been answering a few in the chat, Chris, when you were talking, because I wasn't sure how much time we had. But yes, for Pollyanna, yes, a lot of students. It's a very good question. A lot of students seem to think both for Bristol and for Chevening, although you've mentioned they have to have completed their degree for Chevening. In the case of the university application, we don't need the final diploma for the application. But just like the English, you would need to have the final diploma and your English language certificate to be admitted to the university. So application and admissions are two slightly different things. Having a conditional offer in hand is always a very positive thing. I know that for Chevening, they can upload their unconditional offer much later in the process. And as well as their English, I think till the end of July, if I'm right there, Chris, is that still the case? Mm-hmm.
So there's some flexibility. So if you're applying directly to the university and you're self-funding, then there is some flexibility as to whether you have completed your studies or not. But usually when you're applying for a scholarship, which will give you a full, it will cover your fees fully. It will also, and in the case of Chevening, it will give you a stipend, a monthly figure to support you with your bills, to make sure that you are dedicating and you are committed to your studies in a full-time basis, and also your plane tickets, your access to the National Health Service. There's a lot of activities that take place that Chevening organize as well, that you can request additional funding to attend. So there's a lot of flexibility. So usually with scholarships, the requirements are slightly stricter for that reason. They're very competitive. We want to, make sure that we are selecting candidates that, meet those eligibility criteria, and having a diploma at the act of application is a really important one. All right.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Well, just checking whether we have any additional questions, but thank you all for your incredible questions. They've been really great to answer, great fun to answer. Thank you, André, for telling us about your journey to Bristol. And
my pleasure.
Bristol. We wish you the best of luck in your next steps. Good luck being a consultant. I'm sure you are brilliant. That's so great to hear about your new office as well. And thank you, David, for presenting us Bristol. It's such a beautiful place and such a great institution.
Thank you very much. Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, André. It's a pleasure to meet you, Chris, again, to be in touch, and to everyone who is with us today. Thanks very much for your time and interest, and we would very much welcome you. Look forward to welcoming you to Bristol.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for having me. I really want to go back to Bristol next year because I miss it every day. And I highly recommend you apply. So good luck. If you need any help, get in touch. I'll send you everything I have, and it will change your life. It's a life-changing experience. So the best of luck.
Thank you.
I put my email in the chat just in case if anybody wants to contact as well.
Fabulous. Thank you all so much. Feel free to contact us at chevening.brazil@fcdo.gov.uk. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.